What are you going to be doing with yourself starting at noon on Saturday?
We'll be riding in the Krewe of Tucks on the new Royal Chalice float. It's one of the 4 new floats that the Krewe of Tucks built. Well, we'll be float number 19, the Tuxedos float, also known as the Royal Chalice, because it has a Royal Chalice on the front and a champagne dancer on the inside, and I'll be playing that role.
You'll be the champagne dancer in the Chalice. Hey, there you will be.
I believe I started in 2003. My first year riding in Tucks was as a wench on the King's float.
So Tucks, it's a very sort of sedate crew, very dignified.
You've obviously never been to the parade. And I got hooked on the crew and its irreverence and the fun, and I ended up being a 70s go-go dancer on the Funky Tucks float, and that is one of their signature floats. This is the Funky Tucks float. It's where I danced for 8 years in this cage until the crew asked me to be queen, and of course I said yes. The year after, they offered me a captain's position on a float, and my float riders had such a great time that year that they said, can we have our very own float? And it turned out that they allowed us to build a new signature float. Price ranges vary, of course. This one was about $75,000. And we were inspired by the chalice on the back of the Tucks doubloon, and so we put the biggest chalice you can imagine on the front of the float as the prop, and had the second deck be the giant champagne bottle pouring into it. The giant props, the chalice, the columns, and the champagne bottle, the mold for each of them were made in Spain and then shipped back over here. The artisans came with them so that they could create the props from the molds and install them on the float. We're going to have a bubble machine that is going to effectively have bubbles coming out of the champagne bottles pouring into the goblet, into the Royal Chalice, and that'll be a lot of fun. And because, you know, I'm a fan of entertaining the masses, I'm going to be sitting in that champagne glass.
So you mentioned your champagne dancer costume. Do tell.
It's very burlesque. Lots of rhinestones, feathers, and bubbles. What more do you need?
You have a pretty serious job for a champagne dancer. What is your job?
I'm a production analyst for a Navy shipbuilding program.